When you say you're tired, when you whisper to yourself that you just need rest, more sleep, a day off, understand this. It's not always the body that needs the healing. What you often call exhaustion is not rooted in your muscles, your bones, or your daily routine. It's deeper. It's awareness that rises from the core of your being, from the unseen terrain of your unconscious, and that kind of tiredness doesn't go away with rest. It lingers because it's not physical, it is psychological, it is spiritual. You are not only carrying the weight of your responsibilities, you are carrying the burden of everything you have not allowed yourself to feel. You may have noticed that even after a full night's sleep, you wake up feeling drained. Even when the body has done nothing extreme, the soul feels heavy. That's because within you there is a silent struggle happening. A quiet, ongoing battle between the self you show the world and the self you hide in the shadows. And each time you suppress your truth, your sadness, your anger, your fear, your longing, your inner world becomes more fragmented. And fragmentation is exhausting. You're not just tired from doing too much, you're tired from being too little of who you truly are. The exhaustion you're facing is the toll you pay for a divided self, a self that smiles when it wants to scream, a self that conforms when it wants to rebel, a self that stays silent when it itches to speak. That inner conflict is not abstract. It's real. And it saps your energy more than any physical task ever could. We must begin to look at this tiredness not as a weakness to be cured, but as a message to be understood. The fatigue is a voice, and it's telling you something essential: atomization, that you have wandered too far from yourself, that the real source of your energy, your wholeness, has been buried under layers of repression, expectation, and fear. Until you start listening to what your inner world has been trying to express, no amount of rest will truly restore you. This tiredness isn't asking for sleep, it's asking for awakening. You may not realize it, but every time you suppress an emotion, every time you force a part of yourself into silence, you are spending energy, not the kind that comes from calories or sleep, but the kind that keeps your inner world alive and whole. Repression is not a passive act. It takes effort, unconscious, constant, and consuming effort to keep certain parts of yourself buried. That hidden sorrow you never acknowledged, that rage you were taught to fear, the vulnerability you locked away long ago, none of it disappeared. You just pushed it down, out of sight, hoping it would stay quiet. But it hasn't, and it won't. What people often call emotional numbness, fatigue, or burnout is often the body's reaction to that unrelenting inner suppression. You're tired not because life is hard, though it may be, but because you've been living with only half of yourself. The rest is kept under control behind walls built out of fear, shame, or guilt. And maintaining those walls drains you far more than any external responsibility ever could. You are not meant to fight yourself, but that is what repression creates, a war between who you truly are and who you've been told you must be. This inner war doesn't make noise like the outer world does. It's subtle. It shows up in the way your body aches without cause, in the anxiety that lingers even on calm days, in the sense that something's wrong even when everything seems fine. That's the cost of ignoring your shadow, the unlived, unspoken, unseen parts of you. They don't fade with time, they grow heavier. and the more you try to silence them, the louder they become in the language of exhaustion. You cannot find freedom by pretending you don't feel what you feel. You cannot be whole while actively denying pieces of yourself. Atomization. And if you've been wondering why rest doesn't restore you anymore, perhaps it's time to consider that it's not sleep you need, it's honesty. Honesty with your own heart, honesty with your pain, your needs, your truth. You are not tired from living. You are tired from hiding. There are parts of you that you've hidden so well, even you have forgotten they exist. Parts that were once natural, a wild emotion, a spontaneous reaction, an honest desire, but they were judged, shamed, or misunderstood. So you buried them. You told yourself they were dangerous, too much, too strange. You wore a mask that made you acceptable, palatable, predictable. But those buried parts didn't vanish. They became your shadow. The shadow is not evil, though it often frightens us. It's simply everything you were told not to be. It holds the emotions you never expressed, the truths you never spoke, the dreams you never dared to chase. And the more you pretend it's not there, the more it becomes a stranger to you. One that haunts your thoughts, your relationships, and yes, your energy. It's exhausting to run from yourself. It's exhausting to keep pretending you are only the light, only the calm, only the good. But the truth is, your shadow holds your wholeness. It holds your vitality. It holds the pieces of your power you gave away in exchange for safety. Within your shadow lives the courage you denied, the creativity you dimmed, the anger you feared, the desire you suppressed. These aren't flaws, they are raw, essential energies. The problem isn't that they exist. The problem is that you were taught to be ashamed of them. To reclaim your life, you must be willing to reclaim these disowned parts. You must be willing to see the beauty in your darkness, to hear the message in your discomfort, to welcome back the feelings you once pushed away. Because only then do you become whole again. Only then does the exhaustion begin to lift. Integration is not about perfection. It's about inner honesty, and inner honesty is the beginning of freedom. What you're searching for, the peace, the clarity, the energy, it doesn't lie in becoming someone new. It lies in remembering who you were before you were told to forget. Healing does not happen by force. It does not come from running faster, working harder, or pretending longer. True healing begins the moment we turn inward and stop fighting what lives inside us. For years, perhaps even decades, you've been taught to reject certain parts of yourself, to silence the sadness, deny the rage, suppress the fear, and cover the shame with a smile. And in doing so, you've split yourself into the self that the world sees, and the self that waits in the dark, unheard and unseen. But wholeness cannot exist in division. The return of energy, clarity, and peace begins when you start the work of integration. To integrate does not mean to fix. It does not mean that you must transform your shadow into light or remove all imperfection from your nature. Integration means to bring into awareness what has been hidden, to allow what is real within you to be seen without judgment. Your anger has a voice, your fear has a story, your sadness has a reason, and all of them want what every human part desires, to be acknowledged, not erased. This is why so many remain exhausted even after rest, because they are carrying the emotional weight of what they refuse to face. But when you allow your shadow to speak, You reclaim your inner strength. The very energy that was being used to suppress your truth now becomes available to you. It becomes creative force, spiritual clarity, emotional depth. You begin to live in alignment rather than resistance. There is a kind of freedom that comes not from controlling your inner world, but from knowing it deeply. When you sit with your discomfort instead of escaping it, when you listen to your pain instead of numbing it, something begins to shift. Your shadow softens, and in its place you find a part of yourself that was always longing to return home. This is the turning point. Not when you escape your darkness, but when you make peace with it. Only in embracing what you've rejected can you finally feel what it means to be whole. That feeling you've been calling exhaustion, that heaviness you carry through your day, it's not a breakdown. It's a signal. It's your inner world trying to reach you, trying to tell you that something within has been neglected for too long. You see, the soul doesn't scream. It whispers, and it speaks us most clearly through the body when you refuse to listen any other way. That fatigue, the emotional weight pressing against your chest, the strange disconnection you feel even in moments of calm. These are not random. They are invitations, they are messages, and they are asking you to wake up. There is a moment, often quiet and lonely, where you begin to realize that what's draining you is not the world around you, but the world within you that's been ignored. You might find yourself asking, why does everything feel so heavy when nothing seems wrong? And that question is the doorway, because what you're feeling is not just tiredness, it is the spiritual cost of living too far from your truth. Something inside you is done with pretending. It no longer wants to play roles, wear masks, or follow the script of who you're supposed to be. That inner voice, the one you've silenced for years, is finally rising, and it's showing up as fatigue because it knows you will stop and listen when your energy disappears. This is not the end, it's the beginning. What feels like a collapse is actually a call to remember. You are being asked to come back to yourself, not the version of you shaped by fear or approval, but the one who existed before the world told you who to be. Your exhaustion is sacred. It means you are no longer willing to carry what is false. It means the time for pretending is over, and the time for truth has come. What you're feeling is not weakness. It is awakening in disguise. We live in a time where escape is easy. Distraction is always just one scroll, one click, one conversation away. Whenever discomfort rises within us, our instinct is to run, to bury it under noise, productivity, or even false positivity. But you cannot outrun your shadow. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. The parts of you that you avoid, the wounds you pretend aren't there, the emotions you label as wrong or inconvenient, they don't dissolve with time. They wait, and the longer they wait, the heavier they become. That's what you're feeling when you say you're exhausted. It's not just the weight of life. It's the weight of avoidance. Healing does not begin with escape. It begins with turning inward. Not to fix yourself, but to meet yourself. And meeting yourself means being willing to sit in the discomfort you've spent so long trying to avoid, to let the silence speak, to feel the sadness instead of numbing it, to allow the anger to rise without judging it. These are not signs of regression. They are the signs of a soul finally willing to stop running. Real freedom is not found in light alone. It is found in embracing the dark without fear. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It shows you where your energy has been trapped, where your voice was silenced, where your truth was abandoned. It shows you where you lost pieces of yourself just to survive, and facing it is not easy. But it is necessary, because you cannot be whole while denying half of who you are. The exhaustion that's been following you, the tiredness that no amount of sleep can fix, that is not your body asking for more rest. It's your soul asking for honesty. It's your inner life begging for truth, for attention, for reunion. You don't need to escape yourself. You need to return to yourself. Fully, courageously, completely. You reclaim your energy not by running from the darkness, but by walking straight into it with open eyes.